Good afternoon, everyone, or should I say good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the penultimate session of the rewirEd Summit. I'm really excited to be joined by some incredible, inspiring panelists today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Raya. I'm the founder and chief executive officer of School of Humanity. School of Humanity is an award-winning online high school where learners learn by doing and having a positive impact on the world. Instead of learning towards exams, they learn in order to contribute to human progress. Every term, our learners embark on challenges such as food, energy, and water security, social entrepreneurship, sustainable cities. Our core high school curriculum focuses on skills like systems thinking, designing with nature, and many other core skills that we need in order to create a sustainable future for humanity. Now, before I introduce our esteemed panelists today, I wanted to take some time, just a minute, to talk about the context of this discussion, because we're here to talk about EdTech's role in climate adaptation and mitigation. Now, one of the recurring themes of the summit all day for me has been this idea that the world becomes what we teach. In order to envision and execute a sustainable future for our species, we have to go straight into our education system and equip learners with the skills, mindsets, knowledge needed in order to imagine, envision, execute that future for our species. We also know that technology is going to play a huge role in this, and that's something we're going to focus on in today's panel. We know that technology has been a resource liberating mechanism. It's allowed us to make what was once scarce abundant, and it's going to do the same thing with education now in the next decade as well. However, there's a paradox and a challenge in this opportunity, and it's to do with connectivity. We know that globally, 2.2 billion children, that's 2 out of 3 children in the world, don't have access to the internet. So as we have this conversation around EdTech and future skills, we're going to have a conversation around what we do in order to increase that access as well. So with that context in mind, I'm going to give each of our panelists an opportunity to briefly introduce themselves, and then we'll go straight into the conversation. I'm going to start with Lady Marieme. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and your work.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. So my name is Lady Marieme. I'm a tech entrepreneur, and I build solutions for young women and girls across the world. And so I didn't go to school. I was born in Senegal. I'm nearly 50 years old. I didn't go to school. And the reason why I do what I do, I'm trying to fix what was done to me as a child. So I have a video to show you.
We have a video for Lady Marieme.
Are we concerned about climate change? It's just a question.
My name is Sunday Atem. I'm 17 years old from South Sudan. I live in Kakuma refugee camp.
My name is Agustín. I'm 18 years old from South Sudan.
They say AI is easy, but
Are we
AP is hard.
concerned about climate change? It's just a question.
My name is Sunday Atem. I'm 17 years old from South Sudan. I live in Kakuma refugee camp.
My name is Agustín. I'm 18 years old from South Sudan. I live in Kakuma refugee camp.
My name is Mary Shariku. I'm Ethiopian by nationality, 21 years old, from Kakuma refugee camp.
My name is Ayen Piel. I am 17 years old. I am from South Sudan and I live in Kakuma refugee camp.
My name is Tiba Kakozi. I live in Kakuma refugee camp. I'm 19 years old. I come from Congo.
My name is Abol Maluet. I am 17 years old. I am from Southern Sudan and I live in Kakuma refugee camp.
My name is Migok Mayen. I'm a Southern Sudanese. I'm 18 years old and I come from Kakuma refugee camp. As you gather in Dubai to discuss climate change issues, please pay attention to women and young girls out here. They need you to advocate for them. They need you to stand up for them. And that's why I want to be a lawyer to advocate for climate change and young women who are passionate to bring a change in the community. Kakuma is our home, and we are striving to make it better.
Join us to make Kakuma a cooler place for women and girls.
Would you you like to share a bit more context?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I work in Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya. So during COVID-19, I built the world's largest coding platform for young women and girls to go and learn how to code. So I'm a full stack developer. I spend my time building solutions and coding. So when I came to the UK, I used to clean white people houses. Today I'm a tech pioneer where I built amazing platforms. So today you can go into our platform and learn how to code from Mombasa to Dubai here. And I think when we talk about EdTech and talk about climate change, these young women are living in the worst place on earth. And it's a refugee camp of 300,000 young women and girls and boys that lives there. And I wanted to go there as a concerned African who's a tech pioneer, and I wanted to make sure that young women and girls are learning how to code, they're getting jobs, but at the same time they can come here in 6 years, in 7 years to talk to you about, our coding for climate curriculum we just built for free.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to learning more. Agustín, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself and Eidos Global?
Yeah, thank you, Raya. So I would say that I am the outcome of a very passionate teacher. I was about to drop out of high school, out of a 10 to actually be an excellent student. I was always like a 6-ish, 6.1, and I wasn't committed to education at all. And it was because I was suffering the whole educational system. This thing about having a content and repeating it to actually improve and to pass to the next level was something that was deeply frustrated for me and in a deep social-emotional sense. And when I finished high school, a teacher invited me to go back to school and say, hey, would you like to do things differently? And I didn't study education, but I knew how us young people would like to learn. So I suddenly changed the role of the teacher into facilitators. All the kids start learning by doing, through experience, choosing the context in which one they would like to learn. And I would say that 15 years later, I'm the founder of Eidos Global, alongside with my fellow students. We founded a social organizations that reach 1 million learners in 85 countries. We are doing meaningful reskilling of people above 45 years old, children, policymakers, young women, young mothers especially. And we do all of that by crafting meaningful learning experiences. We really care about the pedagogical side of education and especially the humane touch of it. That's why I really connect with your purpose.
I empathize with that very much. Thank you. Dr. Fuzan, tell us about the digital school and your work.
Thank you, Raya. Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Fuzan Al-Khalidi. I'm the education strategist at the digital school. I don't know how many have you heard about the digital school, but the digital school is one of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum global initiative. We provide digital education to underserved communities across the world. We are currently in 9 countries, serving more than 100,000 students. We offer our content in 4 languages: Arabic, English, French, and Spanish. We're so proud and passionate. I'm not an education by training, but it's about the passion and what we have achieved, what impact that we have created in underserved communities, those unfortunate or less fortunate students who doesn't have access to education. So this is what we do. We work closely with underserved communities, with governments, to provide digital education, and we hope by 2026 we will be reaching 1 million students and beyond that. And I'm so pleased to be with you here.
Incredible. Thank you. And Deputy Secretary, tell us a little bit about your work as well.
Thank you very much, Raya.
Yes.
So indeed, I come here from International Telecommunication Union. So after these inspiring stories, my story will be much less inspiring, because we come from the infrastructure side, with those guys who help the world build pipes, and that then carries the education content. We hope. So ITU is a United Nations agency for digital technologies, and as such, it works across the scope, across the different spectrum of different initiatives that make sure that those technologies reach everyone, from satellites and radio spectrum, mobile technologies, to standardization, to really bringing technology to everyone, and including, and today I'll speak about a little bit about our, for example, GIGA initiative that we have together with UNICEF. That ambition of that is to bring connectivity to every school and knowledge information to every student. So I guess this is a great panel you assembled, so we have both infrastructure and content and everything in between that's needed to make it work.
Absolutely. I think we have such a diverse set of global voices, but all really towards a common cause. And now, deep diving into our conversation, I'd love to start with you, Tomas, on really the role of connectivity. So back in 2021, I believe rewirEd and UNESCO, Dubai Cares, launched a declaration of connectivity. So could you tell us a little bit more about the role of connectivity and where ITU plays a role in that as well?
So thank you very much, Ryan. Indeed, I already started a little bit about this two sides to the story. You need to have a delivery mechanism, which is a connectivity to bring the content as well in that and some other spaces in between. So indeed, ITU was very active in the last year's Transforming Education Summit. And exactly because the big focus of that was also on digital education as well as a tool to transform our educational systems. And it identified so-called 3 C's for digital education development, which was, content, which I think we need to see the capacity. That means ability for the teachers to actually deliver that content and teach in a new way. And then connectivity as an underlying foundation for that. And of course, this is our core crux of the workers as ITU and the connectivity piece. And connectivity, indeed, not just any connectivity, but we talk about meaningful connectivity. So connectivity that can, not just connect you to any type of quality of internet, but actually, be sufficient enough to get the services that people need, including, in this case, educational services. So now we do that through the whole set of our activities. And of course, we try to believe that even our regulatory work, brings it closer to reaching connectivity to everyone. Not just now across the town here in Dubai, we have our World Radio Communications Conference. That the world comes together to agree on how to distribute radio spectrum, how to enable satellite connectivity, and that, of course, brings it to everyone. But then at the same time, we have, and I already started mentioning here, some very dedicated initiatives in this regard. So I mentioned our GIGA program, which we have it together with our partner UNICEF. And so GIGA has different aspects of it. And we're starting from the mapping of the school connectivity. And we are proud so far having mapped around 2.1 million schools connectivity in around 140 countries. And then helping connect. And in that regard, we have already connected over 6,000 schools and 2.4 million students in 20 countries. So we now have around 30 GIGA countries that we're working with, 12 added this year. We also kind of keep developing that. So now we have a tech hubs in Geneva and as well as Barcelona. So to make sure that we have investing in that, not only from the policy perspective, but from technology perspective, looking in how to leverage AI technologies, especially for the school mapping and identifying best ways to connect, and then creating based on open source platforms, so connectivity solutions and technology solutions for educations around the world. So this is our, just to kickstart it. So that's what we see. This is the first element here is to bring connectivity. During the COVID-19, we definitely saw how important it was. Our colleagues in UNICEF estimated around 500 million students out of the schools, and out of connectivity at that time, with around $17 trillion in lifetime savings. So I think we heard the human stories, that's very important, but even when you aggregate those human stories and economic impact, that's huge as well.
Absolutely. Amazing. And I'm really curious to then learn at some point about examples of some of those regulations. So if we have time, we'd love to come back to that. Dr. Fuzan, the digital school has been fulfilling this incredible mission of expanding access to quality education to people who need it the most. I'm so curious about how you overcome challenges with connectivity, device access, and other infrastructure kind of issues, especially as an online solution.
Thank you, Raya. I think this is a very important question, and I think one of our main challenge when we digital school decided to expand its operations in any of the countries that we are serving is availability of devices and internet connectivity. And as you know, digital school is basically providing content into LMS using devices and internet. So we have a different strategy to overcome all these issues. Number one, we don't, as part of the process of engaging of any countries, we make sure that we engage the government, the Ministry of Education, and also Ministry of Information Technology or ICT ministries on that particular country. Also an implementation partner. And usually implementation partner will provide devices and the government usually will provide internet connectivity. So I'll give you an example. In Egypt, we are engaged with the Ministry of Education in Egypt, and we also engage with WFP, the World Food Program, and also Suarez charity. It's a humanitarian organizations, and they provided devices to those kids. We started with 25 community schools. Those are underserved communities in Egypt. Now we are over 300 community schools with the help of our implementation partner and the government of that particular country. So in a sense, when we go and operate in any country, we don't replace the Ministry of Education. We work with them. We help them to have this digital transformations in educations. Typically, our engagement is for 3 years, and then we either continue that particular country, and if we feel that they are matured enough to carry on, we will hand over to that country. So this is one strategy. Another strategy I want to talk about. Recently, in last September this year, we launched an innovative initiative called Donate Your Own Device. We've targeted government entities, private entities, and even individuals to donate their old devices. Devices that usually we have how many old phones or old laptops or a tablet in our home, we don't know what to do with it. There's a big movement, there's a huge problem worldwide about e-waste. So what we have decided, okay, you can donate your device, we wipe the data, we install our LMS, the Learning Management System, and we ship those devices to those underserved students across the world who are in need of those devices because they don't have any access to devices. So that was very crucial. I mean, we set a target that we wanted to achieve 10,000 devices in 3 months, but the amount of positive interactive that we have received from different entities, we now, as of today, I get the numbers, we are over than 20,000 devices we have received, and there is also a plan and directions to continue with that initiative for years to come to serve our students. The third strategy that I want to talk about is we have also managed to launch a prototype of modular classrooms. This is something that you can. It's a renewable energies. It's working with a solar panel, and you can assemble and disassemble in 1 hour. You can mobilize it anywhere. So in case of any climate change challenges, if there is a flood, if there is a displacement of communities, we can just deploy that and we can just install it, and kids can have access. It has 20 desktop, and it has solar panel, and it has also some battery attached to it, and it can operate. We don't need any power, so you can put it in the middle of a jungle or of a desert, and it can work. So these are some of the strategies that we have adopted to overcome some of these challenges, and we are also working on something. Maybe I should not be saying that, but we are working also now on to develop an in-house offline solutions for LMS. So basically, just to have a micro server with Wi-Fi connectivity where you can download your LMS on those servers, and you can, within a range of 1 kilometers, that you can kids can have access to those content. So these are some of the areas that we are looking at. Our context is different, and what we offer in each country is tailor-made, is contextualized for that country. there's no one size fit all. So we have to be also resilient. We have to be innovative with our solutions.
Yeah. What I really appreciate about these strategies is that they take a systems perspective to a problem. You can't solve it in isolation. You need to collaborate with all of these stakeholders to
Absolutely.
Roll out a very systemic solution. Agustín, at Eidos Global, you are also working on upskilling underserved communities. And I'd love to learn more about your perspective on what are the exact skills, for the green skills of the future that we keep hearing about, and how do we upskill the next generation with them?
So I would like to jump in over here, sorry to the cameras, and from this side, I would like to ask you, like, which one was your most memorable learning experience? Take a minute, like really think about it. And now I would like you to raise your hand if your most memorable learning experience was alone with a computer. So we need infrastructure, we need software, we need content, and we need humans, because learning is a social process. And that's what we do. We provide the human value, the human interactions to the learning process. Infrastructure is key. Having meaningful content and a software that can actually give us many functionalities to enhance the learning, that's critical. But if you would like to teach skills, life skills, humane skills, 21st century skills, soft ones, like put the name that you want, what we mean is like cognitive, social-emotional, and especially sustainability skills. What we need is to have these human interactions and to craft learning experiences, is to really think who is our learner, to apply design thinking and do a whole strategy to achieve that learning goal. And by doing that, we are going to be a little bit closer to actually foster those skills. So just to give two little examples. We have a program that we are doing with Accenture for Venezuelan refugees in Mexico, Costa Rica, Colombia, Argentina, Chile, and they're in need of work, but they are refugees, so they actually can't work in their local communities. So one of the strategies would be to actually acquire a digital job, right? That's quite a solution. But they don't have a place to actually take a seat, have a computer, have a software, and interact with that. So what we did is that we partner with local communities. We understand how much time do they actually have to study, which one were the interactions, and what we understood was that many of them, for example, learned while they were traveling the motorbike doing delivery. So, okay, as an educator, how do I adapt the whole learning experience so they can have a meaningful outcome? And then what we did was to create social communities, social learning, peer-to-peer, self-paced, like different multi-modals, I would call it, learning pedagogies and strategies, so every person can actually acquire the necessary digital skills they need. Another example, do we have the time?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So with the Inter-American Development Bank and with Microsoft, we are working with silver population. That's population about 45 years old. They already have 15 years more of productivity or working age, but because of the rapid change of technology, they do not have perhaps the necessary skills to continue working, and they are at risk of losing their jobs. So again, right? Online platform, everybody can jump in and learn. Okay, that's not the case with every silver population. So what we did is that we partner with local entities, sometimes schools or community hubs, where they were actually going or being already there. We partner through employees to reach their parents or perhaps their grandparents, to do the calls of applications, and we change the pedagogy. We start doing andragogy. So this is how actual adults learn. And we reduce the times, we build a more progressive curve of knowledge, and we did a little bit more of digital literacy before actually going to coding. And something that I think it was super important, and I should emphasize this, we added social-emotional tutors. Sometimes learning is about mindset. It's about believing that you can learn that. And when you actually have a tutor that believes in you, that supports you in all of the emotional capacity, then is when you have a transformative experience.
Amazing.
Thanks.
I've always believed that the most exciting thing about education technology is that it will automate a lot of the mundane aspects of teaching, allowing educators to focus more on the human connection and on the guidance. So that's a beautiful example. Thank you for sharing. And I know that's a conversation we were just having, Lady Marieme, about the humanity and bringing that into education. So iamtheCODE has been empowering a generation of female, of young women to code. Help us make the connection in how those technology skills can help us tackle climate change.
I've got a couple of slides. I don't know if I can show to put a context. And I think it does relate to everything we are saying here. So if you really think about 2015, when 193 countries rectify the Sustainable Development Goals, one of the things we promised to the whole world by 2030 is to really change the world through humanity and the planet and help young women and girls and boys all across the world. And now we in 2023, and during COVID-19, and I sat in London where I live, and I was so worried for young women and girls. And people ask me why boys, but we include boys now into our program. And if you think about it, young women and girls are the most marginalized on earth, but at the same time, they'll be left behind for many, many reasons. And so that's why I decided that, next slide, I decided during COVID-19 that I will teach 1 million women and girls how to code. This was my 2016 pledge, and right now I've got 55,000 girls into our program in 80 countries. And then during COVID-19, to Tomas' points, one of the biggest issues we had as an ecosystem was now we have these young women and girls sitting down in houses, so they're going to get pregnant. There'll be a lot of issues, a lot of social issues. But who is the superman or the superwoman who will save these children and these young women and girls and boys? We didn't have an answer. And so the pledge is to get 1 million women and girls coders across the world. But now we lacked platform. We didn't have connectivity. We don't have content. Content is very expensive. And now you can hear during this rewire summit, everybody have a platform now. So there's a plethora of platforms, and many of it, right? But this will not help my young girls. Young women and girls don't like fragmented learning. They want a focused learning. And so, next slide. That's why we decided that, we will go and work with young women and girls to give them infrastructure, so building. We also need to give them connectivity. We have the ITU. Many member states, government are lacking connectivity. So we take connectivity as a way of saying that we all have Wi-Fi now. My son is 22 years old. He lives in the UK. He's got connectivity all the time. And so, but these young women don't have connectivity. And the other thing that is missing, in the whole, to Thomas' point, is the content. What are you learning? Who's going to hire you? And then, and this is we need as a collective, before we leave this summit, we need to really think about the content. And so that's what iamtheCODE, we decided to have the coding skills. The world is going into coding. We need young women to learn how to code because the world is going into AI. The climate change solutions we have, it will not be solved by just sitting down and learning some work, but we also need the humanities, kindness, compassion, generosity, supporting people, working together, not working in silo. This is very, very important. These young women are right now sitting in Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya. It's a very, very bad place to grow up there. And I've been going there for 7 years, 35 times. I'm the first African woman to go in refugee camps to teach young women and girls how to code. And I know by 2030, young women and girls from South Sudan, the girls you really met, they will become coders and they will work for you. That's why we launched the Coding for Climate. But the Coding for Climate, who cares about climate change? These young women don't care about climate change. Next slide. They want to understand, am I planting trees? It's hot in Kakuma, 50 degrees heat. Where is the content coming from? Next slide. I want to recycle. Where is the recycling coming from? And so I think we need to collectively look into not only the humanity, because there is funding available from the private sector. We know the answers. Many people are looking into a couple of solutions, but I think until we look into, next slide, until we look into young people like Mary, who I met when she was 11 years old, and she will become somebody in 2030. She will understand AI by the time I finish teaching her, ChatGPT and AI, all these solutions we have. 45,000 courses, 14 languages, including in Arabic, in different languages. A young woman right now growing up in this world needs skills. Without skills, you will not get a job. And next slide. So I just want to honor all of these young women that you have never met before. They are girls that exist. And in 2030, they will become coders working for your companies through my academy in Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya. And this is something that I would like to leave you with. And through humanity, compassion, and kindness, we can do a lot of things. And I think we need to stop developing platforms, reinventing platforms, creating new platforms. Because the data is one single data. We all have the same data. We all need the same people. Let's work in collaborative together and find a way to aggregate, to get companies to aggregate this content. That's what I did from the World Economic Forum. And all these partners said, we don't need your plethora of platforms. What we need to do is we need to work together. So young girls growing up in Mombasa, in Dubai here, in Cairo, they can go somewhere where they can learn in a very structured way how to code, how to become full stack developers, how to become full stack developers, front end, back end, understand what AI is, understand how to build the solutions, and hopefully you can give them job in the future. So please honor my girls, and we have computers now in our academy. Next slide. And we have become a World Economic Forum lighthouse because our methodology is a very, very simple one. We invite you to understand what iamtheCODE does globally. Next slide. And support our girls. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I absolutely love that the curriculum is problem-based. It's so much more interesting to learn anything when it's linked to a real-world problem. So we only have about 5 minutes, so we're going to do a quick fire round. One of the things I always hope out of a summit like this is to come out with actionable steps, something that we can all take and do, whether it's if you're representing private sector or public sector. So my question to all of you as panelists is, what is one actionable step, strategy, something that we can do as private or public sector to leverage education technology for climate change? So we'll start with Deputy Secretary General Tomas, please.
So, probably I can tell what we're doing, and then kind of hopefully we can expand that. So here in COP28, we are coming with our Green Digital Action track for COP28. We brought more than 40 different organizations, private sector, governments, intergovernmental organizations, to really identify very clear actions how the digital can promote and help fighting climate change. And green digital skills is one of the very clear activities that we're focusing on. We from ITU side, we have our own, sorry, Marieme, platform. So ITU Academy, where we have a number of courses from greening data centers to circular economy to green procurement, but we have other partners. For example, our partner Go Code Green has been pledging to provide free education for 100 trainees from developing world on a green digital skills as well. So I think we really need to amplify each other and to make sure that we find the synergies among ourselves. And I think there's a lot of good things there, and I second here what was said. But then if we come together and we identify how we can help each other, we'll go far.
I agree. I totally agree with Thomas. I think we need to collaborate. Right now it's very, very serious where we are in the world. Young women and girls and boys need skills. They also need to understand what climate change is. We need to create the next climate change specialists. But young women and girls and boys growing up across the world, where I live, the marginalized communities, they know climate change, they live climate change, they understand what climate change is. But how can we get them involved into the solutions building? How can we give them curriculum? How can they become the climate change specialists? Sometimes in the world we are too arrogant, unfortunately, to talk on behalf of people. We need to get them into the room and say, do you want to become climate change specialists? Yes. Come, this is the curriculum you need to use, a very clear pathway and journey. So I think we are looking forward to collaborating with Thomas and his team. And the coding for climate is really important. I really beg you to get young women and girls and boys to learn how to code, so in the future they can come and build the green solutions we need for the world. Without that, we will leave young women and boys behind.
Fantastic. Dr. Fuzan, would you like to add
Yes,
to this?
I would like to add. I think in the context of the digital school, I think government should work in partnership with private sectors. And again, I'm talking about connectivity and with telecommunications company to try and provide a subsidized rate of internet to students, even for free. In some occasions, or some locations where underserved are there. And government should also invest on infrastructure which has a renewable energy. Those will promote, fast solutions to some of the infrastructures in schools and learning spaces for underserved communities. And also, in a way, we are reducing also the impact of climate change on those locations. So these are the two things I would like to emphasize on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Agustín.
So now you have 4 open platforms with a lot of content. So I think that there you may be actually do a lot of next steps. Something that we designed last week and we introduced at WISE was a GPTs, a custom GPT, to actually design meaningful learning experiences, and has embedded already all of the UNEP and United Nations sustainable framework. So if you're a teacher, an educator, you are planning a course, a workshop, or even a university degree, you can jump into this GPTs and actually ask for its help to do all the program design or the class design or the workshops. You can approach to me and can give you the QR, and if you have ChatGPT Plus, you can feel free to use it and to share it.
Fantastic. That's really all we have time for, but I'm going to share one last actionable step, more from an education perspective, which is we need to stop teaching in silos. Whether it's professional development in public sector or private sector's education systems, one subject alone can't explain or tackle the climate crisis, but rather a collection of disciplines in an interdisciplinary way can help us understand and tackle the challenge. So the very curriculum and the way that we teach needs to be radically overhauled. Thank you so much, everyone, for your attention, and thank you to our incredible panelists for inspiring us today. Thank you. I believe we now need to go to the plenary, the closing session, right? So that's what we'll have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.